Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Yusuf Aram. In Istanbul, a symbolic gesture has stirred geopolitical tensions. Last week, the Greek Orthodox Patriarch Theophilos III of Jerusalem presented Turkish President Erdoğan with the Covenant of Umar, a 7th century charter that guaranteed Christians protection in Jerusalem. It was more than a gift. It was an appeal for Turkey's historic role as guardian of the city's multi-faith heritage. The covenant echoes centuries of coexistence among Christians, Muslims, and Jews. And in presenting it to Erdogan, Theophilos signaled that safeguarding Jerusalem is not just a Muslim cause, but a Christian one as well. In response, Washington quickly summoned Patriarch Bartholomew, the Istanbul-based spiritual leader of Christian Orthodoxy. In Tel Aviv, Netanyahu declared Jerusalem is ours forever, in a direct swipe at Erdogan. Both Washington and Israel have revived negative claims about minority rights in Türkiye, accusations which Ankara rejects. Türkiye points to its record, dozens of restored churches and monasteries across the country, a stark contrast to Israel, where Gaza's 1,600-year-old church was bombed, killing civilians sheltering inside. Christian sites in the occupied West Bank have also been facing growing attacks from illegal settlers. Furthermore, joining me now from Istanbul is Ibn Haldun University Associate Professor of History, Vehbi Baysan. Vehbi, thanks for joining me. A lot of historical talk. I mean, we're talking about things that happened 2,000 years ago almost. So I think the best place to begin with this gift that was presented to the Turkish president, the Covenant of Umar. What is it? What's the significance of it in history?
Well, it is the Islamic civilization's approach to non-Muslims, which is they often acted. I mean, it's very significant. We should underline it that the principle, the very principle of coexistence. This is, I'm deliberately not using the tolerance because tolerance is something like, you let things go ahead, etc. No, this is coexistence together with Muslims. Christians, together with Jews, together with even different minorities and religious sects. So that agreement, unwritten agreement, let's put it first that way, is that there's an extra care and extra privileges, extra protection to those who most need it, and especially in the holy sites, that's namely the Jerusalem. Therefore, it's very important to bring it up today. This the region very much needs it.
Now, just for our viewers who aren't history experts, now these events and gifting this predates the Ottoman Empire or any Ottoman presence in the region, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Now
well,
I want to
ask
you.
The tradition still continue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask you, why would the Patriarch of Jerusalem gift this to the Turkish president? Now, Türkiye is obviously a Muslim country. I mean, over 95%, I believe, practice the faith of Islam in the country. You have countries like Italy, Poland, the United States, many countries that are predominantly Christian. But he chose the Turkish president to gift this to. Why is that?
Because we're talking about the continuity. First of all, we consider that the Ottoman Empire established in 1299, although disputed, some say 1305, etc. But that doesn't matter. An agreement, a promise, a kind of a strategic and political decision to live together and in peace with different faith groups carried out in the Ottoman Empire. And what happens there is that each sultan, just to reaffirm, confirm their position in that promise has been made several hundred years earlier, gave fermans to the minorities there. And this is to say that each of the new coming sultan reaffirms their continuity to that very strategy and very mission. And that's why it's extremely important what has been presented to President Erdogan, because he also, I mean, in several occasions made it clear that Turkey has no problem with minorities, with different religious groups, etc. In fact, they are protecting them. I mean, a short visit to what they call it, the proper Istanbul, the classical Istanbul, within the city walls, you can see that many churches and synagogues had been went through expansive restoration projects just to as a demonstration of that policy still continues.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also want to ask you what life was like in Ottoman Jerusalem, and also what was life like for non-Muslims in the Ottoman Empire. What were borders like? How was traveling from the different vilayets or end to end of the empire? What was daily life like for anyone who wasn't Muslim?
Well, first of all, they had their own jurisdiction. This is to say that any disputes, any kind of minor crimes, etc., handled by the minorities themselves. We call them millets or non-Muslims. I like to use this term because it's quite a wide spectrum. But mainly accepted groups were first Jews and Christians, and then different sects of Christians like Catholics or Protestants or Orthodox, etc., or even Maronites. When it comes to Jerusalem had a very special position in the Ottoman administrators' mind. It's like treated like a second holy site after Mecca and Medina, and the jurisdiction implemented there because at times there were some serious disputes between the Christian sects, let's say Orthodox and Catholics, etc. And let me share with you a piece of information. The Holy Church in Jerusalem, in fact, the key of it was given to the Mufti of Jerusalem, so that in the morning he would go and open, because all the other Christian groups claim ownership of the church. So this was the only solution, Muslim Mufti to go and open the doors. So that continued until the collapse of Ottoman Empire. And of course, there's an intervals with the Republic of Turkey, but yet even they seen these kind of groups in the Middle East, in the Arab world, Muslim or non-Muslims, that the groups that, as Ottoman tradition continues, always been helped.
I want to ask you another question now. During this, the latest strikes, so over the past 2 years, Israeli strikes on Gaza, a lot of Christian sites have also been hit. Most recently, a 1,600-year-old church in Gaza was targeted. Are these sites being targeted knowingly? Is there a problem of the current Israeli government with the Christian heritage of Jerusalem or Palestine or the region?
Well, I believe so. Unfortunately, this is the case. It's not only in Gaza. Gaza, one can say that since they're doing carpet bombing and indiscriminately killing civilians and whoever in front of them, and including babies and children, and therefore international condemnation is there, even calling it genocide. But it's not limited to Gaza, because in the West Bank, we know most holy site in Beit Lahem, even the settlers attacking Christians. And there are many reports that they're not feeling safe at all. So this is an ongoing problem, and indiscriminate destruction and destroying these, what do you call it, the places supposed to be promoting peace and prosperity in the region, always been targeted, unfortunately, and many experts in the view that it's not going to end anytime soon, unfortunately.
Vehbi Baysan, Associate Professor of History, thanks for shedding light on the centuries-old coexistence in Jerusalem.